Hi, I'm Archie Mirage, Deputy Editor of Corporate Secretary Magazine. Welcome to another one of our corporate governance segments. In today's interview, Susan Frank, Assistant General Counsel for Global Ethics and Compliance at AECOM, discusses how she balances the legal and ethical sides of the business.
As the head of the Ethics and Compliance Department, my role is really to be the spokesperson, I think, for it, and sort of the head coach, if you will. And it's to try to work with the businesses to explain what it is that we do and why we do it. Because not everybody really understands what it means to be a U.S. publicly traded company. And you've only to look at a lot of the settlements that have recently come out on the foreign corrupt practices side to see that most of them, the large ones, are with non-U.S. companies, but who are publicly traded on the U.S. exchange. And so if you're a publicly traded U.S. company, that carries certain consequences. And my role is to make sure that we address those consequences and that our management understands that. And in addition, if we're doing work, which we are in the Middle East, China, Europe, we also have to be good corporate citizens of wherever else we're doing business. And it's to try to understand those challenges as well and make sure that we're meeting them and that we have the resources to meet them, the training and the understanding. AECOM has offices around the world, and the way we handle FCPA is to basically view it as a worldwide phenomena, anti-corruption, and goal, rather than a U.S.-centric one. So we take into account in addressing this area the UK Anti-Bribery Act, as well as the FCPA, and also the very many statutes now that other countries have put in place or upgraded. The Canadians, the Australians, the Chinese, the Russians all have upgraded their bribery statutes and their enforcement in the last couple of years. So what we do is we distill down a set of core behaviors, and first and foremost is we behave with integrity and we don't pay bribes or make inappropriate gifts or do any other act that, as a matter of policy, would violate these statutes. And then we try to work with our businesses to ensure that we're only working with companies that have a similar commitment, whether it's our subconsultants or our vendors or our business partners. And we have processes and procedures that allow us to look at those companies and to evaluate them. And in some instances, we decide that we're not going to work with them because they don't have the same reputation or commitment to ethics that we do. The challenge is that you're within the legal department, and it's at least theoretically possible that you may have to ask somewhat awkward questions of people in the legal department, but fortunately that doesn't arise in my company. But the great advantage is that by working with colleagues in the legal department, you have a very good idea of what the challenges are that are facing people on the regulatory side as a result of regulations or court decisions or other government actions around the world. And that's our bread and butter, is how do we help people be compliant? And how do we help them meet those challenges? And we have to know about them first. So it's really a tremendous advantage to be in the legal department. I think there's a really key element that sets us aside, and that's our emphasis on communication. I'm fond of saying that you could have the best communications, you could have the best ethics program in the world, but if nobody knows about it, or you can't possibly read the documents that are out there or the policies, then you really don't have a good ethics and compliance program. And so, hence our emphasis on user-friendly ways of communicating. Cheat sheets are a good example. Other examples are we have videos on our website that take 5 minutes to look at, but make a point and provide training in key areas, such as keeping information confidential. In fact, we get those from the Ethisphere Institute and from Corpedia, and they're produced by Second City, and they're rather lighthearted, but people like them, and they make the point. So we place a huge emphasis on that, and we recently had a week-long sort of ethics festival within the company, which we called Ethics Week, and that featured webcasts with leading experts in the field. We had competitions for our geographies around the world to answer questions, do quizzes, hold events, and it drove traffic up to our website by 8,000% for that week. So it was clearly worth doing, and the traffic has stayed at a higher level because we did that. So for us, communication is absolutely key. We recently started putting on our website what we call cheat sheets, somewhat humorously, and they're one-page sheets that tell you all you need to know about complying with U.S. anti-boycott law, or tell you all you need to know about doing business in Libya now that some of the sanctions have been lifted. And our goal is that employees who are working in those areas can go to our website, can say, oh, there it is, and it's one page. And obviously then they can follow up and ask questions, but they have ready access to a good summary of what the regulatory or the corruption challenges might happen to be in that place. We rely on the employees to exercise good judgment because, like other companies, we don't believe that we can control the use of social media. People are going to check Facebook, people are going to use Twitter, people are going to use other social media sites that I probably haven't even heard of yet. And so what we say to people is that you're a responsible employee, and if you use one of those sites in a way that either damages the company potentially or damages one of your colleagues or one of the other people within the company, that's something that is not good and that's not ethical. So we ask people to act with responsibility and maturity and integrity in their use of social media. For me, effectiveness is serving the client within the company, serving the businesses, serving the people who are on the front lines and need help and need assistance, understanding what our obligations are and providing them with tools that they can use on the spot to say, well, if I'm going to hire someone that might help me get business in this jurisdiction, then I really need to go through a process, which we have and which we've laid out and which is accessible on our web, to evaluate that person to make sure that we've mitigated risk. So I think that the more I'm involved, whether as a lawyer or as an ethics professional, in those kinds of decisions and making sure that people understand that we have risk mitigation processes and that they're user-friendly, they work, and they mitigate those risks, then I'm succeeding in both jobs.